Hi there, it's Andrew Burke from Code School Halifax again, and our webpage is coming together pretty nicely. We've got JavaScript, we've got formulas, we've got pictures and CSS and content and everything, but it's all just local on our computer. And the whole point, of course, of a web page is to be up on the web where other people can actually see it. So today we're going to try to get that done and show you some ways of getting things posted up on the web. Now, there's many different ways to do that, and every service or whatever that you may end up working with will have their own slightly unique way of handling it. But I'm going to show you a few different ways that I have used to get things up on the web, and hopefully that will at least give you some context on what you might want to do as well for yourself. Okay, so hang on, here we go. Here's that web page we've been working on for the last little while. It's got all of our formulas and totals. It's got our listing by country. It's got graphics and transparencies and everything. And that's all great, but it's only living currently just on our little local file system on our computer, which is kind of pointless for a web page because, of course, a web page wants to be up on the web where other people can look at it. Now, unfortunately, with the web, unlike HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which are all kind of the same, you can just follow along directly and type it word for word and you'll get something that works. Web hosting is different everywhere. Everyone's got slightly different ways of doing it. There's all sorts of different services that do different things for web hosting, but I'm going to show you two different ways that are sort of standard ways to do it, and hopefully your experience will be kind of similar, more or less, with the kind of hosting you might be able to access. So I, for example, use a company called Web Savers, or a local Halifax-based company for a lot of my projects, and they're pretty good. They provide hosting and file system stuff and everything. They can do WordPress and things like that. They've got pretty good support and stuff as well. And you can see if you go into the hosting and look for shared web hosting, you have a bunch of different packages, one of which is even free if you sign up to get a domain with them. The domain is a thing like websavers.ca or codeschoolhalifax.com. You need to buy those and register them and then attach them to a website. And if you get one from them for about $20 a year, depending on the domain, then they give you a free hosting for something simple. I've moved on to a fancier plan. I'm using one of these, but there's also much fancier if you want to start your own big empire with all sorts of stuff. But anyway, these are standard things. And once you've signed up, you get an interface that looks something like this for managing your site. You can see where I'm not using anywhere near the amount of resources that probably is required. This is Code School Halifax is a pretty simple site with some flat HTML pages. I have no databases. I have a few small web forms for signing up and things like that, and that's it. I guess I'm on the $60 a year plan. And you can see my domains down here and everything. You can manage your mail and blah, blah, blah. But the main thing is somewhere you're going to have a link to something called Plesk. You might also have something called cPanel. They're all quite similar. And they're basically a set of tools for managing your website. You can see some shortcuts here, but let's just go into the full thing. And you can see here there's all sorts of tools. There's mail settings, logs, ways of adding PHP or Ruby or Node.js into things, SSL certificates, hosting settings, importing, all sorts of stuff, right? The main ones we're going to want to worry about here is File Manager. And this is where your files live. So here is my website that I've been built for Code School Halifax. You can see there is codeschoolhalifax.com. And that is just this website here, okay, which I built from a template and adjusted and added my own custom fonts and everything. And here you can see my links to this exact class right on the front page. Okay, that is inside index.html here. Here is actually all the code. If you wanted to see what it looks like, this is, and I could actually make changes to this code and it would apply directly on the live site. It's not suggested to do that. You want to do that locally first and then upload that later. But I'll show you first how to upload. So we have our HTTP docs and we have our home folder, but we just want to set up a new sort of subfolder inside this, like a subsite inside our site. And the easiest way to do that is to make a new folder here. So we just go new directory, and let's call it recoveries. Okay, so here is our recoveries folder, and let's open that up and just go upload. And here is our, you might have to dig around inside your file system to find it, but you can just select all of your files, choose them, and this is pretty small. You can see it's not very many files. And now we have a recoveries folder that has stuff in it. So if we go to Code School Halifax, but instead of the home, we go to recoveries, here's our page. It's now on the web at Code School Halifax recoveries. And it otherwise looks exactly like our original page. Here's our local one on the file system. Here's the one actually living on the intranet. So anybody in the world can go now find this page. So if you want to go check it out, feel free to get to codeschoolhalifax.com/recoveries, and you'll see here's our page. Because we called it index.html, we didn't need to put anything else in. It automatically did that. We could also, of course, actually say index.html would give us the same thing, but we don't need to. We can just say just recoveries. Because of the magic of calling it index.html, it automatically works. Okay, now that's one way to do it, and that involves registering with, finding a hosting place. Namecheap is another one I've used occasionally. You can use GoDaddy if you want to, although I don't tend to like GoDaddy, but there you go. There's other ones around out there. There's tons of them. Every city and place around the world has their own local web hosting stuff. And that's kind of nice. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of these and put these away just for now to save some space, so we don't have to poke around too much in here. The other service that's kind of useful now, especially if you're just getting started and just want to see what things look like, it's one called Netlify. And Netlify is actually turning into something pretty significant. A lot of people are using it for a lot of big projects. But if you're not doing a big fancy project using the really trendy Jamstack or enterprise solutions or whatever, they have a way to get started for free, which is kind of cool. And it's really low impact, really simple and straightforward, and don't have to do a whole lot. So get started and then sign up with one of these things, including email. You might not have an account on any of these. I do have a GitHub account, which is a way of using Git, but on the internet through servers. So I'm just going to use that one, but you can of course sign up with email as well and hit that. And eventually you get to something like this. So I've used this already for a few things, but what's great with this is you can just deploy a site by dragging your folder. So just find your file folder on your computer. Here it is, recoveries. Just drag it onto this box here, and it uploads. And give it a second. And while we're waiting, because this looks like it's going to take a little while, it seems slow today, probably because I'm doing a demo, of course. You can also use Git. It's a little complicated. You can use basically the Git that you've been using to keep track of your changes in Visual Studio. You can use that in a way to also set up a new site. So here we go. Here it is. And you'll see it gives it this wacky little name called Tender Morse 1EOFF4. Okay, this is a way of setting up a unique name on the internet for a page without having to do a special domain by itself. So here's the application. So a lot of places do that. They mix two names, two random words, and a bunch of numbers and puts them together. So if you just give it a second, and now once it's chewed enough, you can see here is the website. We can click on that, and here is our page again. And it is, didn't have to sign up for a hosting plan or anything or get a domain package or pay or give anybody any credit card information. We just set this up right away. Now the downside is the address is this weird thing here. And it may be weird to tell your friends, hey, let's go to tender-morse-1e0ff4.netlify.com. I can never pronounce Netlify for one thing. That's my big problem with it. But anyway, netlify.com. It's maybe not a great way. You're not going to take over the world with a website called that, but it's a way to get something up on the internet quickly and easily. And of course, you can then, of course, copy and paste that into emails if you want to send it to people and give it a shot. So that's how you can get stuff up there. And you can see this page looks exactly like this page. Now we have the same page on two different parts of the internet, and that's fine. So let's just close that. And you can see here, one of the other things you can do, you're deployed, set up a custom domain. Now what they let you do, remember how web savers I just showed you earlier will give you free hosting if you buy a domain from them? Well, these folks sort of do the same thing, but they got it kind of backwards. They give you the free hosting and give you a dummy domain, then you can set up a domain with them. So a matter of doing that, you just go in and you type the domain you're looking for, who knows, something like that. And it's verifying. Now, I think these days words like COVID might cause warning flags or whatever. But anyway, just try this and see what happens. You can also look for anything here, and then it will tell you if it's available or not. $9.99 for the first year, that's US, and then it renews for $14.99. Okay. Now, if you try other domains that already exist, if you try google.com, it's not going to let you buy it. But you can try different things. You can register right through here, give them a credit card and pay. And you can basically get up and running with a custom domain in a few minutes, which is kind of nice. Now with web savers, same kind of idea. You can register domain. Another service I've used a lot for domains is hover.com. They're pretty good as well. Just FYI, I have no special deals with any of these people. I just use them and like them. So there's no kickbacks or anything. They get used a lot. You can just type something in, .recoveries.org or something, and let's see what comes up. Now, it's probably being used. It's already taken. You can try to make an offer with an agent who might help, but you can see here is all the different options. They give you other ones: Recoveries Shop, Recoveries.app, Recoveries.inc. Recoveries.art is a bit more expensive. And you can see there's all sorts of different prices. Some of them are on sale. You can spend a lot of time sitting here and hover and trying out different names. And just be careful you don't buy too many of these names. You can get kind of carried away. Anyway, you buy this, reserve it for a year, and they'll give you instructions on how to link it through your control panel. The nice thing with doing the domains directly from the place where you're hosting is they can do the configuration much more easily than having to do it separately and then trying to link everything through. Now, in some cases, that's necessary if you're using a different kind of hosting plan, but I tend to like to do the domain straight through the people who you built it from. So there we go. So that's the basics of hosting. Pretty straightforward. And there you go. We've got our version here, Tender Morris 1EOFF4.Netlify, and we have also CodeSchoolHalifax/recoveries. Okay, so feel free to visit these and try it out yourself at one of these places, and especially the Netlify one because it is totally free, even with a fun name. And if you do get that up there, feel free to send me the details, your address, and I'll take a look at it. I'd love to see what other people are doing. Ideally, you've maybe got a different color scheme or different pictures or something, and maybe different ways to lay out the page. It'd be great to see what everyone's working on. So I'm at info@codeschoolhalifax.com if you're interested. And there we go. So that's a shorter one today and a little less technical, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. And we've got just a few more things to do. One is to add some analytics to our page so we can see who's visiting. And the other is to make it a bit more friendly for mobile. And we'll talk about that soon. So hang in there. I hope you're doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.